Time to put the women and children in bed and go looking for dinner.
Bro, ask Jordan. The funk of my funk will put you in will knock you out.
But I would take clips of like what I saw people doing and then send it to Jamie and be like, look at what this person's doing. And you don't have to.
But it's
okay.
the same underwear for a year?
Here we go. Hey, hold my beer.
Josh, can you believe this? Okay. Not only has it almost been 1 year since, like, when this episode releases, it'll be 1 day before our very first episode release. And on that episode release, we had a company by the name of Primal Beef Jerky reach out to want to be a sponsor. But now they've changed their name to Rage Beef Jerky. But it has almost been 365 days since they asked us to be a part of the team. Can you believe that?
It's been a whole year. Are you serious?
November 3rd was the release day of our first episode.
Oh my. Okay, well then let me be clear. In that entire year, I have consumed at least 30 bags of Rage Jerky. Didn't have Rage on the bag name, but it was definitely Rage Jerky. And in that time, I've had other jerkies too, but nothing carries the flavor like Rage Jerky.
Is there a song like nothing compares? It's like, is there a song for that?
I think it's a worship song. Nothing.
No, like there's like a.
Is singing Chris Tomlin over there?
No, this is like it's like a food commercial song. Like nothing compares to the flavor of something. I don't know. They should have their own song. Nothing compares to the flavor of.
Isn't that like a Dr. Pepper commercial?
No.
But seriously,
either way,
Rage Jerky, so good. I cannot believe it's been a year. But also, I've definitely had 30 plus bags of that jerky in this past year. How about you, Bobby? What's your estimate?
I wouldn't say I've had 30. I can't say that. I would say I averaged about a bag a week. I mean, I try to portion myself because I'm a baller on a budget. I don't know if you know that, if you know what that means, but I know that you aren't rolling in dough, but I'm definitely not rolling in dough. So
I'm not
my
rolling
bag a
in
week.
dough. I'm not rolling in dough, but I was blessed that Rage worked with us to do a fundraiser. So I've had jerky that I was able to buy in advance. So I've got fundraiser jerky that I've bought. So I just grab a bag and chow down on it anytime I want.
I still have one bag right here of the Primal brand of sweet and spicy that I have not finished yet, and that's what I've been snacking on for the past couple weeks. But if I averaged it out, if I did average one bag a week, that would be 52 bags, and I don't think I've had 52, so I would cut that in probably 30 bags. So let's just say that 30 bags, so about the same. But still, like you said, nothing compares to their jerky. Like the only thing that I can say is that the only jerky that I can stomach outside of Rage, and I'm just saying this to kind of use it as an example, and that is No Man's Land beef jerky. I don't know if you've had that, but it's very comparable. But I think that Primal beats them on the flavor part of it because they have so many layers of flavor.
When you think texture and you think the way that the seasoning sits on the meat, you should think similar to No Man's. Now, like you said, the flavor profile way better with Rages, but it's gonna be that level of texture of meat. So the thickness, and as well as I would say the flexibility of meat is about the same. More on the stiffer side.
Perfect amount of dehydration.
Perfect. Breaks apart. It chews very much like a piece of steak. Not
like it's supposed to. Like it's supposed to. Not wet dog food. Not fake turkey jerky. Not the whatever crap that you're getting with Sasquatch on it. Whatever what's that called again?
Be clear, if I offended anybody, chew like your jerky's supposed to, not like your steak's supposed to. Your steak should be medium well at most. Like even that's.
But the consistency is what he's going with. I'm saying like the way that the meat is supposed to be, that's how this jerky is. So a steak
Oh yeah,
should be
it's
this way.
right in
Steak is the exact
between.
same.
It's what I would call in between firm and medium firm.
It's the perfect amount of dryness.
Yeah.
It's what our ancestors chewed on when they went out to hunt. Okay? That is what it is. I'm not even kidding. It is what
some dried beef. They didn't have the cool access to the flavors that we do. They just had originals. So, they would
the
just
idea is to throw it in your mouth and chew on it and suck on it in your cheek and then go about your day.
That's the way to do it. And if you're wondering what the proper technique for eating rage jerky is, it's to take a good big old chunk size, maybe a little bigger than a quarter, and you want to take that and you want to chew it up real good with your teeth, but you don't want to swallow it. The next trick is to take that chunk of beef and just tuck it like it's a piece of chaw. Just tuck it right there in that lip line and just enjoy. Man, you're eating steak for 2 hours. That's what it tastes like.
I would say the flavor, doing it that way, the flavor is going to last at least 15 to 20 minutes for an average size of beef jerky, quarter size.
For sure.
That's how good the flavor is. So whatever you're putting in your mouth, you're going to taste it as long as you tuck it in your cheek and you suck on the savory flavor of it. It's going to last 15, 20 minutes. Easy. Not even kidding. The flavor is it's not juicy fruit. It's not bubblicious. It is great beef jerky. But they are a sponsor of the Chubby Buddies podcast, and they are in not only 5 states, but also over 400 plus locations, ranging across Kansas, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Missouri. And if you're not in any of those 5 states, don't worry. We got you covered. A year ago, they reached out to us and asked to team up with us to give to our listeners and also people who've never had their beef jerky to go to www.ragebeefjerky.com, and at checkout, after you put in all that you want, if you put in at least all 6 flavors, you're going to get a better discount. But if you put in at least 5 bags, if you spend at least $50 and you put in the discount, you're going to pretty much get 1 free bag of beef jerky by using what code, Joshua?
Well, that code is Chubby, CHUBBY. Let me show you up a little closer. You can actually read it right here. CHUBBY, Chubby. That is the code, and you'll use that at Rage Beef Jerky.
15% off your order, and then if you spend the $50 or more, you will get
you're going to get a free bag.
Mathematically, yeah, that's the
I'll
mathematics.
Do the math real quick. Hang on. Let me do the math real quick. Just run the numbers. Carry the 2. Yeah, works out. You're getting a free bag of jerky. If you buy 5 bags, you're getting free shipping and a free bag of jerky. But
so get the 6 bag because that's your free bag.
That code, Chubby, 15% off it. Your order. Spend more than $50, you're getting free shipping. Don't miss out, guys. It's the best jerky you will find. Buy your boyfriend, your husband, your best friend. Buy him a snack. Because they're a chubby buddy like us, and they need good snacks like Rage Beef Jerky.
So get out there and rage. What are you eating? Is that a taquito?
Taquitos.
Man, that looks like a breakfast one, is it?
No.
No?
Chicken and cheese.
See, I'm not a big chicken fan. I can't get myself to pull the trigger on a chicken anything. Unless it's like fried chicken.
You know what I should be eating right now? Because I have some. I made them this morning. I made biscuit bombs. I did make biscuit bombs. I made 60 of them for church. I had sausage, egg, and cheese.
Could you imagine? Hold on, before you move on, before you tell me what you put in there, could you imagine churches hiring you to come sit in their parking lot for Sunday mass or Sunday service?
I totally would, and I've heard of churches that do that.
Yeah, everybody goes to get their coffee, everybody goes to get their breakfast, or even afterwards they meet up for lunch.
Heck yeah. I would absolutely go set up my truck in front of a church. I would absolutely use that. But, so yeah, the biscuit bombs that I made this morning were sausage biscuits, so sausage gravy, sausage, egg, and cheese, and then chorizo, egg, and cheese. And that one was a huge hit because that one was chorizo, egg, and pepper jack cheese.
Or is it
No,
like?
it's homemade, bro. It's mine. Sausage.
Oh, I just didn't know if it was like a gravy that was like pre-made or anything.
No, I make my
Because
own.
I was a real big fan of that gravy we had at school for that biscuits and gravy. That consistency was really good.
Gravy's kind of hard to mess up. You can get the thickness
Yeah,
wrong, but the flavor is hard to mess up.
as long as there's like not like a milky flavor and it's more you're tasting that meat like
Mhm.
inside the gravy, it's gonna be good every time.
Gotta have that meat gravy. Bobby, I have to tell you, guess what I get to do this weekend?
What do you get to do? You get to buy your truck?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay.
Soon, hopefully.
Okay.
But I'm coming up, right? And while Saturday I get to, or Friday and Saturday, yeah, Saturday I get to be with you. Thursday
Friday
and Friday
evening and Saturday?
Stuff. Yeah, Friday evening and Saturday I get to be with you. Thursday night and Friday I have school board stuff. Thursday night there was a dinner for all of our school board members and our spouses. Guess where we're eating?
Go get a chow.
Chow, let's go! Meat parade! I'm so excited, man.
The only reason I knew that is because you don't get excited about many like restaurants like that.
Dude, it's so good. I cannot wait to go back there. Although I gotta say, man, like now that I've had that place down in Florida that we went to, Seed to Table, where I got that massive great steak, now like this has got some competition.
But you can't compare the two because like the place where you ate was made to order, right? Like
Right,
it's made
right,
right
yeah,
there
it's just made
for
to
you.
order. This is
Everything else is
meat
made for
parade.
everybody coming in.
This is the meat parade, man. This is so good. I cannot wait to do this. This is Fogo de Chao. Let's go. So Heather and I get to eat there with the rest of the school board.
I was debating whether or not we should try to go there before we left. It sounds tempting. But before we move on to that, let's welcome back everybody that's coming back to listen. Welcome back to another episode of the Chubby Buddies podcast. When this comes out, this will be 1 year of episodes. I mean, not consistent episodes because we have had to take breaks in between. But it is another episode of the Chubby Buddies podcast.
We've been doing this for a year, y'all.
Yeah, we've been doing it for a small podcast. I think we've done a pretty good job at being consistent. I do say so myself. But if you are new to this podcast, welcome. We are a podcast that just focuses on hanging out. We use this just as a hangout. We talk sports, we talk everything else, and sometimes we never know what's going to happen. So welcome. And then if you wouldn't mind, consider subscribing if you're listening to us on YouTube or watching us on YouTube. We are also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all the other major listening platforms. And then also try to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. I don't know if we have a Twitter or not. We might. I just don't post on it. Or X, I guess you could say now.
X. So,
but as Josh was saying, he is going to Fogo de Chao. Yeah, we don't have enough cool, I guess, followers.
Yeah, we're not cool enough to be on X. However, for sure, if you are listening and you love it, we want to thank you for tagging along on the journey, and we want you to consider yourself a chubby buddy. Whether you're 40 pounds or 400 pounds, you can be chubby with us. But grab your snacks, tune in, because every single week
doesn't mean fat. Chubby just means you like fat.
Chubby just means you have a deep appreciation for food, and you're chubby at heart. Whether you're physically larger or not, you just love food and you love to snack. And you know that snacking is one of God's great gifts to the world.
Yeah, it's pretty much dad bod, like. If you really want to get technical, it's dad bod with the New Balance, the grass stains on the side, and he likes jerky, maybe a cigar.
Some of us are 6'1" kind of cut, but we're still rocking our dad bods.
Oh, hey, guess what season it is, Josh?
What's that? Oh, is that eggnog? Did they card you?
Oh, that's great.
Oh, man.
No, they did not card me. I don't think I've been carded for anything in probably 10 years. That's
well, it's because that beard you got, you look like you're a...
I haven't had the beard for 10 years, though. Even on my 18th birthday, I was mad when I went to go buy a lottery ticket and a cigar, they didn't card me. But it is what it is. Oh, the sweet sensation of eggnog.
What's it like to drink like Yeti mucus?
I love it.
That's
I
what
even
that
got
is to me.
I even
Yeah,
got Holly liking it.
what?
Like, yeah, she liked it. If you think about it, it's just melted custard.
So gross.
I thought you said you liked it.
No,
You don't like
never
it?
been an
You're
eggnog
crazy.
fan.
But anyway, how you been, buddy? Other than the business starting up, I see you got a shirt there, and
Mm-hmm. I
can't
sure
wait
did.
to. I
Let me
can't wait
show
to.
it off. For those of you looking online watching the video, you can see it. If you just listen to the audio, I could describe it to you, but it just says the Chubby Buddy, and it shows a chubby dude with his shirt kind of up and open, and his shirt says the Chubby Buddy, and it's supposed to be me. So, but that's the name of the truck, is the Chubby Buddy. So, yeah. Man, outside of that, it's Halloween this week, so we're the Flintstones this year,
The whole
and
family?
yeah. Well, not the kids. The kids didn't want to join our costume party, so it's me and Heather and my mom and dad are. So we're Fred and Wilma, and mom and dad are Betty and Barney, but we actually built the Flintstones car.
Oh wow!
It
How
looks
heavy?
cool, dude. Huh?
How heavy is it?
It's actually not that heavy. It requires two people to lift it, but it's wood frame and then empty like blue barrels, um, like
Wow. Oh, for the sides.
yeah, for the wheels. And so we spray painted those, and so they're white and they kind of look like they're rock now. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, we didn't do any costumes for us this year. I mean, we work a crazy shift, so
Yeah. But we had a lot of fun with that. So I worked on building the Flintstones car. So I've got that built. We're doing trunk or treat this week on Tuesday with our church. We had baptisms today. I got to baptize two people. It was really cool. Lindsay and Lucas.
younger or old, like old,
No,
younger or
young
older?
people. Lucas, kid who I coached. I coached Pee Wee football for this kid, 3rd through 6th grade. He was on Casey's team. So I love this little dude, and we called him Little Lucas because there was Little Lucas, and then there was Big Lucas, who was one of our linemen. And so Little Lucas, he was tiny, but he was always fast, always got to the ball. Well, about 3 months ago, his family started coming to church, man, and he's just totally been embracing his faith and really like starting to own it. And so they made the decision last week that they wanted to get baptized. So him and his mom Lindsay got baptized. It's cool.
That's cool. I've only gotten to baptize one person. We know who that is.
Yeah, that's right. Who was it, Bobby? Tell me.
Well, he's invisible right now, and nobody's
It's
been able to
invisible.
see him for months. So I mean, and it's not the Holy Spirit. It's Jordan,
It's
Truck
true.
Daddy.
It's true.
It's
Well,
Jordan.
I mean,
Or
you
it's
do
Jordan.
get to claim bringing me to the story, so you didn't
I mean, I
baptize
don't claim
me,
anything.
but
I don't claim anything. We got baptized the same day though.
sure, we did.
But other than that, you ain't got nothing else going on. Like, what's going on with the food truck? Like, how's that going? Like, process and all that stuff. Is that like
So all of
stressful?
my business plan elements are done. The thing we're wrestling with right now is we've got some tax return stuff we've got to get figured out. So that's kind of the holdup part. Our 2021 taxes, we have to have a copy of those, and we filed those with a CPA up in Springfield. So we've got to like manually go get a copy from that dude, and it's just kind of a mess. But beyond that, once we get all that taken care of, then I think we'll be, I don't think we're going to have any trouble getting the loan or getting started. It's just a matter of we're just waiting to get all the paperwork done.
Sweet.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to plug you guys as like a sponsor of the
Heck
podcast.
yeah,
It's
dude.
like
The
it
Chubby
won't be
Buddy
a
will
sponsor, but
definitely
like
be a sponsor of the Chubby Buddies. I mean, he stole the name from the Chubby Buddies.
we
That's
came up with
why
that together.
that's why the
It's not
truck is the
copyrighted.
Chubby Buddy, because I'm one of the Chubby Buddies.
I guess what you could do is you could copyright the Chubby Buddies, and
I
then that
was
way you could have both
considering that
names.
if you'd let me, is copyright the
I've got
Chubby
no
Buddy, the
problem with
Chubby
that.
Buddies, and we would have the whole thing. And because it all stems from this, man. Like the whole
No problem with
concept
that.
of the food truck idea came from this podcast when
No
we were
problem with that.
spitballing the best breakfast stuff. And we said
Yeah, no
biscuits and
problem with
gravy.
that.
Yeah, that's the
So,
best.
like, all I say is that if you ever go big, like, you got to throw some my way. That's all I ask.
Bro, if I go big, the buddies go big. We go big together. Ain't none of this throw something your way. You come with me, and you go big
Well, I don't
with
know.
me.
Florida is a long ways away.
I don't mean to Florida. I'm saying we
I know.
travel,
I was
we
joking.
tour together as a
Oh
comedy
yeah.
routine, the three of us.
Ooh, ooh! I got a meal idea for your truck.
Who?
Yeah, you got to get French fries and mayo on there. Call that the Bobby special.
Ah, gross.
you
Gross. Just
gotta
a
have like
package
you
of
gotta have
French
like
fries.
combos
And
like to
it's gonna be like it will be served the same way for everybody. A whole pile of mayonnaise on top of a cup lid.
or all you could do is just go be like call it Bobby's sauce on the side.
Yo, if you're not
That would
clear
be
on what
weird.
we're joking about here, every time Bobby gets fries at McDonald's, I don't know if you still do this, but every time
Just
he did when we
just
were
McDonald's.
when we were kids at McDonald's, every time he gets fries, this man will take a large Coke lid, because it's more surface area, is what he says. It's more surface area for his mayo. So he got to have a lot of mayo, so he needs a bigger container for his mayo. So this man will take the large cup lid, put it under the mayo, and just pour until there is at least a half cup of mayo on this lid. And he will sit down with his 4 ounces of mayo and just dip his fries in it and chow away. It's
Yeah, but
so.
they don't do the dispensaries of
Oh yeah, they
mayo
don't
anymore. Just
anymore.
ketchup. So I had to ask for it on the side, and I would just say like put you out of business mayo, or I would get like
Puts
a
you
12
out
pack
of
of mayo.
business.
So, but it's
Yes.
only with McDonald's fries. No other fry tastes that good with it. I don't know what it is.
No fries taste that good with mayo, Bobby. Like,
You can't knock it. You haven't even tried it by
I
itself, have you?
have tried it. We have been
I don't think
friends
you
for
have.
long enough.
I don't believe. I don't
Promise
believe I
you.
ever got you to try it. I got you to try chew before I got you to try that. I'm just saying.
Twice.
Oh yeah, twice. And one of those was
Oh,
cherry
the
soul.
cherry.
The other was I think citrus soul maybe or vanilla.
Was
I
the
don't remember.
cherry the one that I fell back in the chair on?
Yes.
I was not ready for that head buzz, man. I was like, oh, what is this? I'm dizzy.
Yeah, he sat down in his dad's recliner. It
And I
hit him.
just went,
It gave him a
whoop.
buzz immediately, and he flipped backwards, ran to the bathroom, and out went everything that he had in his stomach on top
Ugh,
of the dip.
gross.
But before I get into my week, first I want to say rest in peace, Matthew Perry.
Yeah, man.
That's
Broke my
crazy.
heart. That sucks. I mean, I wasn't like a diehard Friends fan, but I thought he was funny. Like
Well, my favorite
I
was
like
Joey
him in
Tribbiani, but that's the
all
other
of his.
half of Joey.
I know. Yeah.
So, I mean, I
I
don't know what
loved
happened,
him in
but
17 again.
that
There's
was
a
pretty good with Zac Efron and him.
yeah. It's a small role that he plays in that, but he's still funny.
Yeah, and then he was in the whole 9 yards, I think.
Yeah, yeah, the whole
Wasn't
nine
in a
yards.
lot of
That
movies, but
with Bruce Willis. That
yeah.
one, it had some range to it, but it was funny. Like it was quirky and funny.
I mean, his role as Chandler Bing was like
Yeah,
his bread and butter. Like everybody
iconic.
knew him as
Yeah,
Chandler Bing.
we all
But I
talk
mean,
like him. Like you realize that, right? That style of communication didn't exist until his character.
you mean Joey?
No, Chandler.
That's Joey that has. I don't know Chandler's dialogue. Like that's not.
Chandler's sarcastic wit turned an
Yeah.
entire generation of dialogue. I promise you. Matthew
Mm,
Perry's
I mean,
character is responsible for the way that most millennials talk.
maybe that's why I like Joey and I don't talk like that. I don't know. I mean, I still like Chandler. I loved his character. I mean, you needed his character for Joey Tribbiani. You needed to have it. It was the buffer for Joey Tribbiani's role, and it's gonna be weird to like. I bet you people that are like friend fanatics, like they won't
Yeah.
ever be able to watch an episode again.
You think so?
Well, yeah, I mean, one is probably too soon for sure, but like if they don't put Friends back on Netflix, like they're gonna get a lot of hate. Like they were on Netflix for years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I wasn't like you said, I wasn't a huge my parents watched it every week. Uh I watched it for Jennifer Aniston and Joey Tribbiani. That was it. But other than that, like I wasn't like a diehard Friends fan. I
That's
also
fair.
liked Phoebe. Like Phoebe was funny too. You gotta give her credit. But no, rest in peace, Matthew Perry. But I've had a crazy busy week.
Yeah.
One, I did the wrestling show. I went to the HCW's Wake the Dead. That was an amazing show. I got there early to help set up sound. The sound is, it was, I would say that it was 75% better because I mean we still had like spots in it. Like they just have a really old system, and they need to I guess save for a better system. They just don't have everything that you need for something like that, especially being in an auditorium. So like I really hope we get that dialed in really good. But the Wake of the Dead thing was Saturday, Tuesday through Thursday. I was on a Zoom in Zoom classes for 8 hours. One, it's hard for me to like pay attention like for eight
What were
hours,
you
like
having to
let alone
sit in a
just
Zoom class for 8 hours for?
it's called KLC training, and it's Kansas Leadership training, and it's just for supervisors
Hmm.
throughout the state of Kansas. But
Hmm.
they send people from across America to these classes, and this was the last Zoom class that they're going to hold. But I don't know if how many Zoom things have you been like? How many Zoom things have you been a part of that had to do with your job or training or anything like that, or something like?
Probably once a week for the past 3 years.
Okay, now I might be wrong, but I don't think that I'm the only one. Like, do you ever get like not necessarily? Yeah, I'm gonna say it. I got bored, so I started looking to see how everybody else was participating. So I would look at their big screen and just like see what the heck they were doing. I didn't post this to anything like on Facebook because it's just wrong. But I would take clips of like what I saw people doing and then send it to Jamie and be like, "Look at what this person's doing." I had a lady that was walking the entire time, like on a treadmill while she was doing it. She walked for the entire 8 hours. Like I don't know.
Seriously? Good Lord.
Yeah, like we would break for lunch. She was walking before we would break for lunch. I would come back. What's she doing? Walking, listening to this dude talk. I mean, we'd break out for these little small groups. There was like 185 people in there. It was crazy. But then at the very end of it, we were supposed to take a picture as a group or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And I was looking at people turn their cameras on because they wanted to prove that they were there. Is what it was, right?
Yeah.
There was a lady shopping, bro. She was shopping in a grocery store,
That's
doing
funny.
this Zoom training, and then like there was a lady. It looked like she was driving, and she had somebody holding her phone like in the passenger seat, like while she was like on this Zoom call.
Good Lord.
Like, did you ever do that? Am I the only one that does that? Like, I was just staring at people to see how they were
No, the
enjoying their
people
time.
watch thing? No, yeah. Well, I'm not usually in Zooms that are that large. So
Oh, yeah.
mine's usually small groups and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't have that privilege. However, that sounds hilarious. And if I were doing large group ones, I would absolutely be people watching for sure.
Like that could be a skit on like YouTube or something. Somebody
Yes.
going into Zooms and just looking to see how people are like uh participating. Like there was this one guy that had like a pile of clothes on his couch and he was sitting next to it watching TV and then looking over at the computer like he was paying attention to the Zoom. Like I don't know, I couldn't do that. I was just sitting right here and I had my background blurred out to where nobody saw the poop picture and like all the other stuff. But
Yeah.
like I was just sitting here the whole time, and then if I needed to do something, I made sure that my camera was off. Like if I needed to blow my nose, pick my nose,
Sure.
scratch my butt, whatever it was, I'm shutting my camera off. But I didn't know if I was the only one that did that. I just thought it was weird. Like, I mean, I don't know if I was like being like Facebook stalkerish, but it was
No,
definitely
I
uh,
don't think so at all.
time.
I think it's pretty normal to like want to know what the heck people are doing. And especially if they're doing weird things like walking on a treadmill for 8 hours, like the whole time. That's wild.
Yeah, like, and I don't think she broke a sweat. Like that's what's wild. Like she just plain faced, not one glisten. I was like, man, I would be like huffing and puffing. And then if she ever had to talk, like I couldn't imagine trying to catch my breath for that.
Yeah.
Granted, it is just walking. But what it looked like, it was one of those desk treadmill combo things, is what it looked
Gotcha.
like she was on. Oh, those people make me sick. I
Bet you
mean,
she's
this is
got
the
great,
Chubby
I bet
Buddies
you she's got
podcast,
great
but
calves if she's walking 8 hours a day while working.
I got great calves, and I haven't worked out in probably 5+ years. But like to walk for 8 hours, like that's you shouldn't have any like fat on your body if that's all you're doing. Like especially on a Zoom call. If you're walking
Wow.
like that regularly in your job, because it looked like that was like her office, is what it looked like. It was like a set up like an office. So she's got to be doing that
Maybe
outside of the Zoom call.
she's a power walker, man. She walks to work, literally.
But that's what I dealt with. And I was I mean, it was a long 3 days, but I mean, I can't say that I didn't learn anything. I mean, it wasn't something that I would use as a leadership tool for myself, but like the
Yeah.
state wanted me to go to it, so I did. I mean, who knows? Maybe one of these days I'll pull one of the tools out. I still have one more class to finish before I quote unquote graduate, but we'll see. I just want to know if I was the only one that did that, but
Oh,
obviously I'm not.
definitely not. Definitely not.
So, like, I don't have necessarily a specific question for the week, but I do have a random, like, I have different questions, all right? I've got a couple
Okay.
would you rathers this week, and then I
All
have
right.
one that I kind of want to preface off of a buddy of mine's podcast him and his wife started. What
Okay.
would you like me to start with first?
Let's do the would you rather question, or what would you rather?
Would you rather question, all right? This is going to be fun because I really thought about specifically one of these for sure. All right, one of these I made just for you. The other one I made just for the humor part of it, okay?
I can't wait.
All right, for you. Would you rather have a rewind button for your life or a pause button for the world around you, and why?
Ooh, that's so
Ooh,
good. Okay,
this is specifically for you. Like I was like, I think you'll have fun answering this.
pause button. Because I think there's a lot I could get out of the pause button. Also, the pause button would be hilarious for pranking. Are you kidding me? Like, nothing gets better than being able to pause it. Like, I'm trying to imagine what's that scene where, like,
Click,
is it Click? Where he freezes him and then,
click
like,
is the only one
smacks
I
him a
can.
whole bunch and then
Yeah,
unfreezes him? Yeah,
David
that
Hasselhoff.
scene.
Wow.
So, yeah, definitely pause. So, like, I love the rewind feature. And I would love that, but here's the thing, and judge me if you want, call me, I'm me being me. Nostalgia's a drug, bro, and it's a dangerous one. We
Oh
can
yeah,
get
going back in
so
time.
consumed with how good things used to be that we lose sight of what God's trying to give us here and now, what He's trying to do in the
You
here
went
and now.
deep.
So I would avoid the rewind only because I know how dangerous the drug nostalgia is.
I would avoid the rewind button strictly because I don't think that I would be where I am now. I think that I would like change too much stuff where I wouldn't be like probably we probably wouldn't have a podcast if it wasn't for a rewind button. But definitely for sure I would use that pause button every day
Oh
to
yeah,
either prank somebody. But here's what I would use it for. It's so that I could sleep in and not be
heck
late
yeah,
for anything.
heck yeah.
Like that would
Sleeping
be
in.
100%. Like, I wouldn't be late for anything another day in my life, but I would also catch up on my sleep. I'm just saying.
For sure.
Sleep
You
is
never,
much more appealing.
bro. Just let me pause lunchtime for an extra 30 minutes and take a power nap. That would be
Yeah.
perfect. Like
And you
just
technically, if you
pause.
use the pause button, you're gaining time rather than going back in time.
Of course, exactly. You can always
Uh,
unpause. So you need a nap, you lay down, you wake up. Oh, I could use just a little bit more. Lay back down. You're good.
all right. Are you ready for my thoughtful question that I had? I mean, you know my mind pretty well. It's not
Mhm.
farts, but I mean, it's like, it is a Bobby thought. Okay. Would you rather wear the same pair of dirty underwear for a year or the same pair of dirty socks for a year?
Oh, you jerk.
Dude,
I hate
dude.
you so much.
I have
Oh,
a good thought.
so
I have a good thought of
disrespectful.
this.
I'm
I have a
so
good thought of this,
uncomfortable with this question.
but I have a good thought like process behind this. Now, like, do you have to wear the underwear in every aspect of your day? Probably not, because like there's some days I'm saying when you go to bed, you don't have to sleep in underwear. You can wear shorts, right?
Okay,
And you don't
sure.
have to.
But it's the
Okay,
same
but let's
underwear for a year?
yes. But what the thing is though, could you deal with the funk of your feet or the funk of your funk? Like,
Bro, ask Jordan. The funk of my funk will put you in will knock you out. So the funk of my feet will be just fine. I will wear the dirty socks for a year. That's so gross.
the only thing that bothers me is like if they get wet though. Like you can't like
Bro,
you gotta hang them up
I
to
would
dry.
rather not wear socks for a year than wear the same pair of socks for a year. It's so
That's what I'm
gross.
saying. Like I would much rather not. I would much rather wear the dirty underwear. And that my thought process
What?
is this: is that I don't. I would
No,
wear
the
the dirty
dirty
underwear for
underwear
a year.
is not better than the dirty socks, Bobby.
You
Dirty
just
socks are
said you
better.
would much rather
Don't
not
get me
wear
wrong.
dirty socks.
I
You
would
just
not
said that.
want to wear dirty socks, but dirty socks 100% over dirty underwear.
Ooh, I don't
That's
know,
why I
man.
said the funk of my funk is like, no. The funk of my feet, no, that's fine. You can manage that, but
You could also manage the funk of your funk with deodorant, bro.
bro,
Just saying.
I manage the funk of my funk with
Shower.
a shower and with cleaning myself regularly and fresh underwear daily.
Yeah. I mean, I'd never worn the same pair of underwear or socks the same day in a row. So that's why I figured this question would be really hard.
I mean,
And I
I ain't
have a
gonna
like.
lie. I've had some mornings where I wake up, I'm in a rush, I may accidentally be in the same pair of boxers that I wore yesterday, throw on pants and a shirt and go. But that ain't happening more than one day.
I can't say that I've ever worn the same pair of boxers a day or more. I mean, I've went without showering, like I've just thrown on clothes,
Sure.
but I've never. I can't say that I've worn the same pair of dirty underwear. Like I freak out if I don't have any clean underwear. Like
Oh, same.
that's the first thing I'm doing. But socks, though, I think I could go. I think I could go. I don't know, man. My feet sweat like horrendously. Like the smell is gone. Like I don't have that smell that I used to have when they would sweat. But I don't know, man. Like I think it depends on like what your daily job is. Like if you were an athlete, I would not wear the same pair of underwear ever. But I
Bro,
also wouldn't want to wear the same pair of
I
socks.
don't care what your job is. There is no reasonable lifestyle that a year of the same underwear or socks is ever okay. I don't care if you live in Nome, Alaska, and socks and underwear are required by dog sled to get to you. Bro, you need a fresh pair daily.
Yes, of
Period.
both. But like you're saying that you would much rather wear a pair of dirty socks for a year over underwear, right?
I'm saying I wouldn't go for either, but if I had to, it's socks. It's socks before underwear. Underwear absolutely has to get changed.
Actually, now that I think about it, I would much rather wear the socks because you can wear different pairs of shoes for your socks don't stink as bad.
Bro, your socks are gonna stink, period.
They are, but I'm saying like it's
There's
not going to
no
smell as bad.
salvation, bro.
Imagine having one pair of shoes with those socks. Like those are ruined for the rest. Your feet are done.
Those socks
But
are gonna
there's
be
nothing.
stiff
But you know what?
and dirty and ugly.
But
And
could you imagine wearing like tennis shoes with no socks? That smell that you get. Oh,
I'm so sorry.
If those went into my dryer.
My wife just brought me what was in my pocket of my shorts.
that looks like gold, like nuggets.
It is. I can't get my freaking hand down. Hang on. Let me get my camera down. There you go.
Corn?
It's corn. It's corn.
Did you go to a pumpkin patch with corn?
We did. We went to a corn maze, and I had a student have a pocket full of corn. She just grabbed a pocket full of corn when she left, and she handed it out on the bus. And I was like, you know what? I got some deer at home. I could feed them. And so I took it and I put it in my pocket. Dude, she's saying if this would have went off in her dryer, like just popcorn popping.
I don't think you would have had that.
I don't think it would either, but that's so funny if it would have. Oh gosh.
I don't even know if like the grain corn. I don't even think it pops when it gets. It just sweats and like turns into. It probably sprouts if it gets really wet.
That's funny.
Working in the grain elevator, like I've never seen like because even in the summertime when it was hot in the bins, like it didn't pop like that, and it was way hotter than a dryer. Who knows? No, I just thought that those two questions were, one of them was perfect for you, but the other one was like, that's hard. Underwear
Ugh,
versus socks.
that was gross. I hated thinking about that, Bobby.
Oh, here's another one real quick. Would you rather go without taking a shower for a year?
Oh,
Wait, no. Okay, you can't wash your feet for a year, or you can't wear deodorant for a year.
ooh.
Oh, I think I couldn't
When
go.
you say
Oh,
wash, do you mean soap and water or just water at all?
soap, water at all.
Oh,
Can't get it wet.
okay. As gross as it is, I'm gonna go no deodorant. Because
Yeah,
here's the
because
thing: at the end of the day, that's just a natural smell, and it may
yeah,
stink, but it is a natural smell. The
and
not
there's some.
washing the feet is unsanitary. It's not clean. It's gross. You're gonna cause some body damage. So,
Like, if
uh,
could you imagine
wash your
living
hands.
back then when they didn't have that? Like, they
Bro,
didn't
I don't
have
know how they like. That's how so many people lost limbs and stuff. That's why the death rate's so low
gangrene.
because they got nasty feet and nasty hands because they don't know they don't take care of themselves.
I want to know how dudes like got any women like that funk coming from everywhere. Like, oh,
They had to have been
but
showered.
it's definitely from both parties.
Oh yeah.
Definitely from both parties. Well, I mean, like, because if you think about it, medieval times they only showered like once a week or bathed. They call it baths. I can't
Maybe.
do a bath. Can't do a bath. That's just disgusting. You're
I
swimming
don't know.
around in your
I
own
think I
filth.
could think about how the Cowboys did it. I think I could do it that way.
A bird bath, like with a sink in water.
No, the hot water tub.
I don't know, man. I can't sit in my own filth. That's almost like wearing dirty socks for a year.
That's what the soap's for, man. And then you rinse off after you're
Yeah,
done.
so so you don't think there's some sort of like complex like area in there where you're washing your dirt off your body in the same tub of where the dirt is going with soap, you're still getting that dirt back on.
No, because that's what the soap's for. The soap gets you clean, and then you rinse it all off when it's done.
But if you're in the same tub when you rinse off, aren't you still putting it on?
No, because that's what the soap is for. The soap removes the dirt. The dirt can't
I
attach
don't
to the
know.
body when there's soap. It cleans
I
it.
haven't taken a bath since I was probably 7, and I can't do it. It just creeps me out like a soup of sour nuts.
Soup
Ugh,
of. Oh no.
it's nasty. I don't know of anybody but a woman that can like say that they enjoy a bath. Like I know
Bobby.
one guy, but I can't say that it's me. Oh,
Soup of sour nuts. Oh my.
soup of sour nuts. But hey, no, a buddy of mine and his wife started a podcast, right? It's called
Oh, cool.
Keeping Up with the Commands, and he's on YouTube. He's the one of the beard guys that I follow. He's also on an episode of the Recess Ruckus. Him and his wife started a podcast, and every week they take one, like, I guess, general topic, and they talk about it for about an hour. Okay, and
Okay.
that's what they do. They keep up with all their stuff. There's one topic that I don't think I've ever really talked to you about, and I think it's a good question for people who live in America for sure, but it's also a good question for what, like, I think it gets you thinking, like, when it's coming up for, like, elections and stuff like that. It's also coming up for, like, I mean, we're in the brink of another world war. It's pretty creepy, like, right now, in this day and age. Very
Hmm.
scary. Technology is, like, almost invincible right now. We're at the age of Terminator. We're at the age of World War III. It's crazy, right? But their topic was, if you could, like, if you were asked to define, like, they didn't ask this, but I'm asking you. So, if you were asked to define what living the American dream means to you, what would your definition be?
Gosh.
Very complex
I
question.
think it's certainly changed. The white picket
Versus
fence.
when though? Versus when though?
Well, I think there used to be an old school vision of it. I think anybody could have described it as the big 2-story home with the white picket fence and the nuclear family.
Mm.
The guy with the good paying dream, nice car, or good paying job, nice car, um, you know, kids in school, everybody goes to church on Sunday. That was kind of the American dream. I think that's shifted. The values of our country have shifted. One, I don't think home ownership.
But what about you? What about you though? Like, I'm wanting your
Oh, my
definition for
personal
you.
American
For
dream
you. Yeah, for you.
for me.
Yeah.
Um,
because I don't care about everybody else. Like I mean,
Life,
everybody
life,
else has their
liberty,
own
and the
thought.
pursuit of happiness. Man, for me, that's independence combined with responsibility. So, like, the American dream to me is me having as much of what I've worked for as I choose. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Gosh, that's
Like I said, it was complex,
it
but I
is.
thought it's like nobody's ever sat there and probably thought about it until they've either like seen it come up or like they've seen a movie or documentary about
So,
it, right?
okay, here's what I would say. For me, the American dream is this: I want to see those around me succeed. I want to see my kids succeed. I want to see my church succeed. But so to me, the American dream is healthy growth in all areas of my life. That's what the American dream is to me.
I mean, there is no right or wrong answer to it, but like I do think that I don't think enough people talk or think about it or even talk about it just because we're always stuck in this go 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 society, and you don't like I wouldn't say that you don't necessarily have the time for it, but it never registers in your brain like what it actually means until like you see like a documentary or a movie that's about it, like The Pursuit of Happiness, the Will Smith movie. Nobody really sits there and thinks about like what they want to achieve other than for themselves. Like I think
Yeah.
the American dream, like you said, also resonates with the people around you. I think that the American dream. So I guess my definition is not only to have like I guess like zero restriction on what you want to do. Nobody gets to tell you what you are going to do or what you can or can't achieve. But on top of that, you are going to be able to do that for like your kids and your wife around you and
Right.
everybody that you care about, and allow them to succeed on their own or fail on their own. Like that is the American dream. You're learning from your mistakes. That's why we chose not to hit the
Freedom
rewind
to
button.
learn. I like that. Freedom to
Yeah.
learn.
So I think not, and freedom to excel in whatever they want to do. So if I want to change jobs and do something, or if I ever want to go down a different path with my profession, like that's I guess that's not just my right, but that's also a dream for America itself, is to allow that to happen.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, I don't think it shouldn't be as complex as it is, but it is, and we've made it that way. Just by dealing with the technology in today's day and age, and listening to like people talk about what you can and can't do with your life.
Well, the problem that we'll always face is that we're reactive rather than responsive.
Right.
We're always reacting to things rather than responding to them, thinking
Right.
critically, analyzing them, and ultimately making decisions based off of them. So, in that sense, yeah, we're always going to face that here in America. I find it intriguing, though. I like what you said about the American dream ultimately being tied to what we're willing to work for, because truthfully, that's what I do think the American dream is the freedom to work and earn it. And that's
Right.
been something beautiful to see, like with Casey and his job and everything he's been saving up for, is his freedom to work and earn it has been beautiful to see. So I would add that to it. I think part of what the American dream is the ability to work and earn for what you want. Um,
Well,
there's
there is no
ample
rope or cap
opportunity.
on anything in America. Like you could
There's
do
an
whatever
ample
you want.
opportunity. The question is if what you're looking for is satisfaction, you're not going to find it, because you're not going to be able to look at millionaires and billionaires and see how little work they do and like have what they have. Like you just can't. Like there's different layers of work ethic in this country, and some people have it, some people don't. Some people are born into it, other people learn it. Uh, but the money fluctuates up and down. So somebody with a lot of money and no work ethic will lose their money. And that money will end up going into the hands of somebody with a hard work ethic who didn't have money. And that's the way it works.
And that's the whole point of why America is the way it is, and that's why people are wanting to come here, is because their work ethic, if they know it's better than yours, they're going to come here and try to take it. And that's
Yep.
it's 100%
And they
fair game.
should. That's how this country is built. Is
Well,
to say
I
the
mean,
person who wants it and will work for it will have it.
yeah.
Like
I mean,
Like, you have
I've
to.
I've never seen The Pursuit of Happiness, but I'm assuming that that's what the premise is. It's like you working for something to achieve, I guess, not just lifelong goals, but lifelong goals for your kids that you have, and you hope to see them succeed. Now, I don't know what the whole premise is at the end. I only seen like bits and pieces of it off like TikTok
I
or
haven't
YouTube.
seen it.
I mean, I feel bad, but I mean, I'm certain that that has a lot to do with not just the American dream, but the dream of, I guess, a responsible human being, probably. But responsible or not, I do believe that the American dream is 100% whatever you want.
That's such a political answer. It's
No,
what
I'm
you
just
want
saying,
it to
like
be.
it's what you are willing to do and achieve, whatever
Yes.
it is you
Yeah,
want to do in life.
that's really
That's
the best way to
it,
describe
it
it. American
relies
dream
it
is what
relies on
you're
you,
willing to work for it to be.
or willing to lose to gain whatever it is you want to do 5 years from
Yep,
now or 10 years from
that's true.
now. So it's I guess loss versus gain almost. That's the mathematics behind it. What are you willing to lose? Is it time? Is it money?
Mm,
Is it relationships? I mean,
Yep.
it depends on what you're willing to lose for your ultimate gain in the end. So,
Yeah.
and there's no ceiling to it, and that's what's great about America.
There's all sorts of pitfalls and things like that. But the one thing you can't say is that somebody's controlling you. They're not. Like, you've got the freedom to go for it. You're gonna find hiccups and pitfalls and people that get in your way, but you have the freedom to chase it. You've got the opportunity.
Yeah. And you also, I mean, yeah, you're going to have those people that are going to try to control you, but they don't control you. They might say that they control you, but they don't. You have every right to walk out that door. You have every right to say no. I'm not participating in this. Now there are circumstances where you're going to have to like reap the repercussions of it. I mean, that's
Yeah,
going to be the
but
downfall. That's the law.
that's character
That's the
worth
law.
staying with, and finding the right job will appreciate your willingness to walk out on nonsense.
Right.
Because a truly good business is going to have ethics, is going to value character and honor and responsibility over making a dollar. Because those things ultimately secure that dollar that you're making. You know, you can make money hand over fist, but if you can't trust the people you work with, that money's not secure. But if you trust
Right.
the people you work with, every dollar that comes in, you know, is secure.
And that's one thing that kind of resonated with me about like if I think back on it, like when I was going to Jamaica to get married with Jamie, there's something that this tour guide told us. They kind of stuck with me just because, like, if you think about it, like when you drive through like Jamaica or any type of like Caribbean like area or island, like
Yeah.
you've got nothing but trees on your left and on your right with fruit, or like there's fruit growing free on both sides of you, no matter where you're at. But like what he said was is that if you're hungry, you're lazy.
Yeah, I hear you.
So like if you're not willing to go pick that fruit, then there's a reason why you're hungry, and there's nothing but an opportunity for you to go pick that hanging fruit and go eat it. That way you're not hungry. But like if you think about it here, like we don't have growing fruit everywhere you go, especially in Kansas. Like there's not growing fruit everywhere, and you can't just go pick stuff off people's yard, right? But like that goes with like money. Like if we have YouTube, which is like the largest platform to make money on,
Yep.
if you're willing to put in the time, the effort, and just use your brain to like just sit there and think about things. Like people,
Yep.
it's an endless amount of like what's the word I'm trying to use? Entertainment. Like entertainment is the biggest money making game in the world, I think. And that's all you need to do is just be willing to
Always will be.
take the time and learn something new to be able to make that game. Go pick that fruit, which is like your YouTubes and your stay at home jobs, like whatever it is, crafting. Like our wives are crafters. If
Yep.
they wanted to, I'm sure they could be millionaires if they really wanted to put in the time and the
They
effort.
wanted the hustle. Yep.
So, I mean, that's my American dream. My wife to be a millionaire making popsicle stick houses, and
Love it. Now, hopefully, y'all have been tuned in because HCW has been putting on amazing show after amazing show, and they got another one coming up very, very soon, November 3rd and 4th. Or sorry, November 3rd. Sorry, give me the dates on that, Bobby. Do you remember?
it is November 4th.
It is November 4th. Yeah, November
November
4th. That weekend, they're going to be in Leavenworth, Kansas, at the Leavenworth local. They are putting on, what's the name of that?
Fall Fury.
Fall Fury. It's going to be a good one. Now, we actually don't know any of the matches except for one. We know of one match that's been announced, and so we can talk a little bit about that. But we just thought, we wanted to remind you guys again, ACW's killing it. But the one match for Fall Fury, Sam Stackhouse versus Aaron the Prodigy Helms. It's going to be a smackdown of epic proportions, okay? That is two big-bodied men who will go blow for blow and knock each other down until only one man is standing. It is going to be epic. It's going to be entertaining, and you won't be able to take your eyes off of that match. The best part of the whole night, y'all, the Chubby Buddies are going to be there. What?
Check that. Hold on a second. It's not Sam Stackhouse. I was telling you the match that was previous. This is Matt Stockdale that he is facing.
Oh, dang it. Okay. All right.
So I was just telling you the previous match, so our bad.
Whoops, my bad. Scratch that. Again. All right. And we're back. No, I'm kidding. Aaron the Prodigy Helms versus Matt Stockdale, you said?
Stockdale, yes.
Matt Stockdale. Okay. Those two dudes are going at it. I know Sam Stackhouse better, so I misunderstood. Those two are big dudes. I don't know Matt Stockdale at all, so we're going to see how Prodigy and him go up against each other. But still going to be a great match. And again, Helms isn't even the best part of the night. You want to know why? Because the best part of the night, the Chubby Buddies are going to be there. The Chubby Buddies are going to be there. Bobby, myself, we're planning on being there. Beyond that, not only are we going to be there, we are the majestic voices that you will be listening to all night, because the Chubby Buddies are the master of ceremonies for
Fall Fury.
Fall Fury. There you go, Bobby. You got it. I knew you'd catch it. See, this is the back and forth is what you're looking for.
There we go. The only one we're going to miss is Jordan. That's it. And then Daniel should be there. Yes. So I doubt that he's going to announce. He's on the backstage, back burner.
Yeah, unfortunately, Jordan will not be there. He's got a family event he's already committed to, so he can't make it. But you will see myself, you will see Bobby, and you'll even get to see the +1 Daniel. So make sure you come say hi, come see the Chubby Buddies, but also come see this amazing match ACW's putting on. Leavenworth local. Doors open at 5, bell rings at 6.
Everything's the same except for the location.
Everything's the same except for the location. Get your tickets online. Follow them on your socials. Don't miss out. So, if you can't somehow make it to see us at Leavenworth to this amazing match, don't worry, because they're putting on one not too far after that. November, you said 11th, right, Bobby?
Yes, Veterans Day.
November 11th, Veterans Day. It is Fight for the Hungry. Fight for the Hungry. That's at the Osage Rec Center. So ACW raring and ready to go. Got matches lined up in Wichita, Osage Rec Center. Again, same time, same bat time, same bat channel, or just different location. So 5 p.m.'s the doors, 6 p.m.'s the bell. You don't want to miss it, guys. ACW putting on a great show. See us in Leavenworth, November 4th, or the next week, see them in Wichita at the Osage Rec Center, November 11th. For Fight for the Hungry.
And I can't push this enough. I highly suggest getting the VIP tickets, because there is always one extra match that only the VIPs and the $35 tickets. I forgot what that package is called.
Just the early bird entrance.
Yeah, well, it's actually a special package. Well, no, they have one higher than VIP. Yeah, they have one that's $35 that gets you a slice of pizza, a drink, and a bag of chips. You get a signed fight poster,
bro.
And then then you get to see one extra.
About this deal.
Well, because we didn't know about it until the first time that I actually was there. So
now we know. So
and before that, it was we did our other little episode that we had. But I also want to kind of run down what happened at our last show of Wake of the Dead. I don't know if you paid attention to that. I now am since I've made my prediction, I am now 1-0. I guess 2-0 if you want to go with Aaron Helms versus Remington. But that the 4-way matches that they had was crazy. The first one, King Vale versus Ray Leone versus Ricky Wingrave. versus Dutch McLean. Ray Leon came out victoriously. So I had
Way to
both
go,
matches
Ray.
correct, by the way.
Way to go, Ray.
Match number 2 was not the Fatal 4-Way. It was Chancla Violence? Oh, my bad. I always mix up those two. Chunka Violence versus Paradox and Colton. I met this guy named Colton. I guess he's been with Billy for a while. He kind of helped me out with the sound and stuff like that because he has his own band. That was pretty cool. But Paradox and Colton won. Remington Roar versus Red James versus Franco Varga versus Logan Knight. And we all know who came out on top of that.
Hey, was I
But
right, though, that Red James tried to pull some sneaky stuff?
No, he didn't.
What?
No. After the fact, though, he did claim that Remington didn't lay a hand on him, which he is true. He threw Remington out of the ring, but then got attacked by, I believe it was Logan Knight, which then gave Remington the upper hand to win the match. So, but he claims that he's not scared of Remington and he wants to face him for the title.
I think you got to earn it, Red. Can't just say you won it. You got to actually earn it. It means winning a match or two, bud.
Well, I mean, all of his matches so far are pretty tough. I mean, he is facing 3 guys at once every single time so far. So,
well, he won it in. He won it into HCW. There's not really easier ways in.
But then match number 4 was Gideon Vane versus Pierce Price. Gideon Vane, I'm going to tell you this. That is the largest man I think I've ever seen, like, in person, versus what I saw on his picture does not show him any justice.
Picture doesn't do justice to the man. He's a mammoth.
Like, he sort of looked like Bret Hart to me in his picture, right? But in person, he was like Kane.
Oh, man.
With long hair. Kane with long hair. It was pretty intense. But Gideon Vane came up on top of that. Match number 5 was Heidi Howitzer. I don't know if you're familiar with her versus Stormy Renee.
Ooh, Stormy.
Renee. Stormy. Not the other one. Not the other Stormy. Stormy Renee. But Miss Howitzer ended up getting suspended for the next show due to her unsportsmanlike conduct after the match.
Ooh, what she did? She hit her with a steel chair or something?
No, she just was fighting dirty towards the end. It was pretty wild. Like I said, you missed a show, Joshua.
That sounds like
then match number 7, or is that 6? I lost count. Handgun Dan versus Sam Stackhouse. Like I said, this is the one that Josh said that he knew more. That is a large man in the air.
Sam knows how to fly, baby.
That dude, okay, this is how big he is. He got in the corner, I think he was on the second, maybe the top, I don't remember, but did a backflip. But then we had to sort of have a little delay in time because they had to maneuver the ring underneath because he rocked some boards loose. So that is like Randy Drowling said it best.
There's consequences.
Randy Drowling said it best. Fat in motion tends to stay in motion. Man. But then ACFC versus the Rebel Hearts, they went out for a tag team title match. KC, I forgot the actual the KC something title, KCF title, and the Rebel Hearts came on top. And then the main event of the evening, at the end of Remington Roar's match, Ray Leon came out and did him dirty. Brought out his goons, attacked him. A lot of people didn't think he was going to be able to make the last match. He came out. He wasn't coming out there for a while, and then Ray Leon tried to get Billy to give him the title just because he thought he was going to forfeit. And what do you know? Music hits, comes out.
Oh, there you go.
And he rocked the night. He's an animal. And we can officially say that Remington Roar, the carnivore Remington Roar, is your first ever HCW title holder.
It's time to eat, ladies and gentlemen. Remington Roar.
Time to put the women and children in bed and go looking for dinner. Who said that?
That is... Oh, come on.
Wow, you fail.
No, come on.
Here you go. Coach Harper used to say it right before every football game. It's from a movie.
I know, and I can't remember the movie. It's time to put the women and children in bed. Let's go home.
And go looking for effing dinner. I'll give you a slogan from the movie so that way you can kind of...
That's not Varsity Blues, is it? No.
No. Cain is able. Think of that.
Cain is able? What?
Cain is able. Yeah, that was the catchphrase for the Heisman candidacy in the movie. You want any other hints?
Is that Friday? No. Gosh dang it.
Character's name.
Oh.
How about I taught him?
The
He goes,
program?
"It's a program."
The program. Dang.
He's like, "You see that shoe? It says Adidas." Yo, I taught him that.
Oh, is that the no?
It's Latimer.
Yeah,
Latimer
Latin.
and
Oh
the
gosh,
linebacker that was like supposed to. I think
that one's good, but it's dark.
it's almost very real. Like it's very
Yeah,
realistic to
yeah,
what like college football probably used to be.
it's a
But
good
other than
movie.
that, HCW, ladies and gentlemen, let's finish this off with We Will Be There, and you don't want to miss it. But hey, let's move on to sports. That way we don't have a 2-hour episode this week.
Yeah, let's do it. What
All
have you got
right.
in
Well,
sports?
hey. I do kind of want to highlight that KU upset OU yesterday. That was
Bro,
wild.
let's talk Rock Chalk Jayhawk, baby. KU football like balling out since the first time since like 2005.
No, last year they were doing really good last year too.
They were good last year. They were good last year too. But KU
Went
is
to a
good
bowl
again.
game last year.
Nice. It's nice. I might get back into college football.
They're above average for sure. Now I wouldn't
Dude,
say
I'll
that they're
take it, man.
like this was like the representation of what the NFL calls any given Sunday. This was any given Saturday for college football, and KU
Sure.
should never have won that game, but they did. Like they grinded it out till the very end. Like, granted, I was sitting there getting my haircut at Mike's, and like I was kind of questioning because KU kicked the ball off and was able to get a fumble recovery, and then they turned it over. They missed a field goal, which gave OU an opportunity to run down the field, and then they stopped them, and then KU got the ball first play back. They threw an interception. It was wild, man.
That is wild.
And then there at the end. So I mean, it was back and forth there towards the end in the fourth quarter. So shout out KU. They say it was one of the most watched games yesterday, and for KU to be in that category of being a most watched game, and then the crowd went nuts. They took the field goals down. Like I bet you it was like the Tennessee versus Alabama game.
I'm sorry. I was sending Chuck a text message of
OU.
legit. Yeah, absolutely. I got to make sure to get my smack talk in now while I can. How often does this
5
one
years
happen?
ago.
Yeah, no kidding.
Well,
Let's
like
see.
KU upset OU earlier, like probably 4 or 5 years ago. I think it was either KU or K State. I can't remember, but beat them in overtime. But yeah, like you said, KU hasn't been good since Mangino was there. Like that was the last time KU
Mike
was
Mangino
good.
was the last time, and he took us to the Orange Bowl in 05. And we really, I mean,
I think we were in another bowl.
Last year they were pretty good. No, a couple of years ago we did go to another bowl, but none of them have been.
Last year we went to a bowl. Last year was the last bowl we went to before Mangino, and that was the year I think we played Mizzou in the Big 12 championship and lost.
Mm-hmm.
At the it was in Kansas City, I think. I think they played at Arrowhead Stadium for Battle of the Border or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good game. Came down to the last second.
And then Mizzou's chicken, you don't ever want to play us anymore. They wouldn't play us in the bowl game last year.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, Mizzou wouldn't play KU.
I didn't think Mizzou was in the bowl game. This is the first year Mizzou's had a winning season since they left the Big 12.
Mizzou was one of our options for our bowl game last year, and they refused to play us.
I know that they're number, I think, 18, I think. And they play at Georgia this week.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, it is Mizzou, Georgia today. Or this week.
No, next Saturday.
Yeah, next Saturday, yeah.
But KU upset OU. I don't know if you follow boxing or not, but there was a crazy fight on Saturday. I didn't get to watch it because I took Holly trick-or-treating. And it was Francis Ngannou versus Tyson Fury, the undefeated heavyweight of boxing. I don't know if you're familiar with the fight that was going on.
Tyson Fury sounds familiar.
Yeah, they call him the Gypsy King.
Yeah,
they call him the Gypsy King, and his brother fought the one that you hate, Jake. What's his name?
Jake Paul.
Jake Paul. Yeah, his brother's the one that fought Jake Paul and gave Jake Paul his first loss. But like Tyson Fury and Francis Ngannou, I watched the highlights, and that's all I was able to really watch. But from what I saw, Francis Ngannou got robbed of that fight, and like he won every single round, and they still gave it to Fury in a split decision. and they're calling for people's heads
Why?
because the scorecard shouldn't. Because the scorecard, like the guy that gave Tyson or the guy that gave Francis Ngannou the one win, because they have 3 judges, and he scored it unanimously by like 2 points, 4 points, which is like nobody should come close to winning. Like if one judge scores that, the next one should also be
Right.
him
Somewhat,
winning those.
at least somewhat close to that it should be obvious winner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other 2 scored it Tyson Fury's way, like by 1
Weird.
point. By 1 point. It was wild. Like everybody, like in the on the YouTube conference thing, everybody's talking smack in the crowd. Like they were upset. Like they hate boxing. Like is what I gathered. Like the fans of boxing were like mad about what happened because they like Tyson Fury, but they knew that this should never have been like called. It was almost like if Money Mayweather had a guy take a flop or something like that, or if he flopped on another dude to get his first loss. Because that's what I mean. He knocked Tyson Fury down, beat his face in. Like there's no reason that they should have gave it to Tyson Fury, but they did. It was controversial. Like it was cool to listen to what some people were talking about, and even the commentators that have been commentating boxing for 20 plus years all said that Francis should have won that hands down.
Man, controversy in the boxing world.
I mean, it doesn't bother me as much, but I do want to see Francis Ngannou succeed because he didn't get his UFC contract, and that's why it pushed him to boxing. And he goes into boxing in his first match of his career. He goes in for the heavyweight championship title match and just destroys this dude, and he still gets robbed. But I think he's going to have some stuff come his way just because of the way that he showed him. Like he wasn't mad about it, he wasn't sour about it. Only the fans were.
Well, if he handled it well, then that probably means he'll get even more bids his way. So that'll be good.
I think it's going to benefit him just by the way that he was very classful in the way that
Good.
he handled it.
Good.
So, but the NFL, I mean, unfortunately, we recorded this episode on Sunday, the day after, or the day before, or the week before this episode dropped. So this episode is recorded on Sunday. We watched the Dallas Cowboys destroy the Rams, man, 43-20.
Yeah.
I don't know if you watched it. Did you watch that?
I did not. We were watching what was the early game that we were watching?
Oh, probably the Steelers and Titans.
Yes,
Steelers and Jaguars.
Steelers Jaguars, and that one wasn't bad. Jaguars ended up winning
they
that.
beat the Steelers. Yeah. I mean, it was a very slow game in the beginning until fourth quarter, and the Jaguars took it at the end. Trevor Lawrence. My wife comes in. She goes, "Is that a girl playing quarterback?"
I think that every time I look at Trevor Lawrence, I'm like, "Who's that chick?" Oh, it's Trevor Lawrence.
I can't believe I didn't realize the Steelers had that good of a record until I saw the bottom of that the TV screen.
3-4 or 4-3?
No, 5-2 before this game. Now they're 5-3.
Steelers?
Or no, yeah, Steelers have a winning record.
Yeah, Steelers were 4-3. I think.
But now they are. But I'm saying they were 4-2 before this, so that's right. 4-2, not 5-2. But I was just surprised. I thought they had a losing record. That's why I was kind of shocked.
I gotta look now. Kill me, Smalls. 1.
But they both had I think they both had the same record. The Steelers are. Here we go. Steelers are 4-3 now, so they were 4-2 before the game.
Okay.
I thought they lost I thought they were 3-4, the opposite, or 2-3, the opposite.
No, they lost to the Niners, and they've lost to the Texans. They've beaten everybody else, though.
Yeah, I did not know that they were that, I guess. I mean, they're number 2 in the division, I do believe. Baltimore should be number 1.
Probably, I would guess, yeah.
And then the Steelers, and which kind of Browns. The Browns should be number 1. Because the Browns have won. They've only lost 2.
I don't think so.
They beat the Niners 2 weeks ago. It's pretty close, I bet, in that division with the Ravens and the Browns.
Browns are 4-3 as well.
Oh, okay. So they lost today?
Yes, they did.
Yeah, so they had the same record as the Steelers, so they were tied for second.
They lost to the Seahawks by 4. Ravens are top of the division.
Yeah.
Everybody else is 4-3.
That's crazy.
But Ravens are 6-2.
The Bengals beat the Bills, was it, today?
No, Bengals beat the.
I thought it was the Bills. Or is
Was
that
it the
next
Bills?
week, maybe?
Bengals beat. Who did the Bengals play?
Sorry for whoever's listening. We're just trying to catch up on what happened today because
We're looking at
recording.
games that are actively happening right now.
I don't know how
So
anybody
Bengals still
watches every single game. Like that would drive me nuts to have 12
Bengals
games on this.
Bengals beat the Niners
Oh, the
31-17.
Niners. Okay.
That's right. Yeah. They had the upset against the Niners.
Yeah.
Purdy was back in everything.
And Purdy still. Oh, they came back from a 21-point deficit, I think, too.
Yeah.
The Niners.
Yeah.
Okay, that's right. I remember seeing that, but fortunately, the Cowboys did end up winning in a blowout. Granted, it was the Rams, but it's still an NFC team, which is good for us. But unfortunately, the Chiefs fall short of the Denver Broncos. It was a fight all the way to the end, but Patrick Mahomes just was not being Patrick Mahomes out there toward the end. Like he was throwing some crazy. The offensive line didn't show up there at the end.
Dude, it was clearly so cold that every hit was hurting. Patrick had like lacerations on his fingers.
Looks like he got stepped on.
Yeah.
They had to put a glove on there at the end, but those last few plays that he was in there on was kind of bizarre to watch because it's not normally how Patrick handles like stressful situations.
I don't know if you heard. Heather pointed this out. She said that he had the flu earlier this week, so she wasn't even confident that he was able to breathe that well out there. So
yeah,
which makes sense because he was staying in the pocket. He wasn't mobile like he usually is. He wasn't
moving. The end, though, he was kind of making like those plays that he was succeeding on there towards the end in the fourth was pretty fun to watch. But like he wasn't moving.
He wasn't moving enough in the pocket like he usually does.
Right, but he was doing those weird spins where he would spin into the traffic where it would mess up.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Like he normally does. He just wasn't being his elusive self that he normally is.
Yeah,
and that's what made them, I think, fall short. And then throw that at the very end pick towards the end. That's where I was kind of like,
He threw a couple of bad plays, but no, I think Heather's right. I think he wasn't feeling well. I think Broncos, after 8 years, are just bitter and miserable and ready to get a win. So, they can have their win. We'll take.
If you look at the stats, what's bizarre, I don't know if you saw the stats, or not just the stats, but the difference between Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes by what they've done in their games. Russell Wilson may have lost way more games, but his stats are better than Patrick Mahomes. Like that's what's wild.
Well,
like I'm saying like the ones that will like
stats because he's been in the league longer.
No, I'm saying for this season, like his completion percentage and stuff like that is what I'm saying is higher than Patrick Mahomes. Granted, he should have more now that he has who is it that came back for the Chiefs? The dude that just came back. Yeah, like that added to Patrick Mahomes' game last week. Like that was a big achievement.
Yeah, not this week though. McCall dropped a freaking punt.
Oh, I didn't see that part.
Yeah, there were five Chiefs turnovers. That's why we lost. We had 5 turnovers.
It was so cold though. 25 degrees in Colorado.
Yeah. Brutal.
It was cold. It was cold here too.
Yeah.
But not that cold.
Brutal.
But hey, why don't we get into next week's picks? That way we have something to
do it.
I guess. All right, Thursday night game is Titans versus Steelers.
Titans. Give me the Titans.
Titans. I'm gonna go Steelers just because I want to see some mix up with that. Steelers kind of shocked me just by looking at their record. All right, so the first Sunday game at like 9 a.m. is Dolphins versus Chiefs in Germany.
Let's go Chiefs, baby.
This is going to be a good game.
It's going to be a great game. I hope this is an offensive juggernaut. Do you remember the Chiefs-Rams game that was supposed to be in Mexico?
Yeah, the year that the Rams went to the Super Bowl. That was the same year that they stole that win from
the 50-51.
Yeah, it was the highest scoring game.
I want this Dolphins team to be like that.
Do you think it will be though? Do you think it'll be that high with how well the Chiefs defense is playing?
I don't think it will, but I think they could score some touchdowns. I think they will score more points on us than any other team has. I think they'll score 27-32.
What is your highest score against you guys this year? Probably 30 points. Was that Lions?
No, I think the Broncos just did it at 24.
I thought the Lions had more points than you guys in week 1.
Lions scored 27 on us. That's right.
Do you think it's going to be in the 30s for the Dolphins?
Yeah. I think the Dolphins have one of the best offenses in the NFL, and I think they will score at least 2 to 3 times on us.
It'll be 21.
And then I could see some field goals in there.
I also picked the Chiefs. So, but 12 p.m. the Seahawks versus Ravens.
Seahawks versus Ravens. Man.
I'm going Seahawks.
Well, I don't know. With the way the Ravens just played, I think I'm gonna go Ravens.
Okay. Cards versus the Browns. I like the Browns.
Cardinals.
Browns are shockingly good this year.
Give me the Cardinals.
Bucks versus Texans.
Buccaneers.
Bears versus the Saints.
Actually, no, take that back. Give me CJ Stroud. Give me the Texans as well.
You want the Texans?
Yeah.
Did he play today or was he hurt?
I think he's back.
I just wasn't sure. Bears versus the Saints. I'm going to go Saints.
No, give me the Bears.
You want the Bears? Wow.
I want the Bears.
Vikings versus the Falcons. Oh, man, that's another one that I was shocked about. Kirk Cousins is out with an Achilles tear.
What?
He's out with an Achilles tear.
Kirk
Cousins? Yeah.
I didn't see Kirk went down with an injury.
That's what I saw.
Oh, I've got Kirk in both of my leagues.
That's what I saw.
Come
Double check
on.
to make sure. Kirk Cousins. Let's double check to make sure. Kirk Cousins suffers apparent injury. Cousins suffers Achilles injury. 12 veteran quarterback options for Vikings. Yeah, he's out.
You're kidding me. Heather.
Dundee. Tore his Achilles today. Source told Adam Schefter. An MRI will be taken to confirm. And that was 4 hours ago, so. Yeah. So I'm going to go the Falcons just because I don't know who the Vikings backup is. But if it was Kirk, I would have probably taken Kirk over the Falcons any day of the week. Who are you taking?
Who's the pick?
Falcons versus Vikings.
Yeah, Vikings.
You're going to still choose the Vikings?
Yes.
Who's your backup?
I don't know, but their weapons are good enough that they can still win against Atlanta.
Yeah. Rams versus the Packers.
You know what? Mike texted me back. He goes, "You're a KU fan?"
He's be like, yeah, and I like Street Fighter too. All right, Rams at Packers.
Yeah. Rams. Give me Rams over the Packers.
I too will go I'm going to go the Packers just for what I saw today. That was not a pretty picture.
Kirk Cousins tore his Achilles. You're a jerk. Don't laugh at me. Don't laugh at my pain.
Who's your backup quarterback?
Ooh. Laughed at me.
Who's your backup quarterback?
I've got Kirko and Joe Shiesty.
Oh.
So I'll play Joe, but Joe's suffering calf problems too. I need to change my team to the gold to the not so golden calf.
I know that I'm not a big Bears fan at all, but their quarterback looks pretty good. I'm just saying.
I texted Mike back and said, as much as the movie Street Fighter. See if he laughs at that.
All right, Commanders versus the Patriots.
Commanders.
I like what the Commanders did to the Eagles today, even though they lost.
Yeah, but that was a battle. That tells you the Commanders are for real.
But that's also a division game. That division game means a lot. And that also goes for your Chiefs. That's why they lost. It's not just because of how good
no doubt, dude. If you don't think Denver doesn't spend weeks prepping for Kansas City, you don't understand how this rivalry works. And the fact that we had 8 years of victories on them is insane. I have been waiting for this shoe to drop for a while, and I'm surprised it hasn't happened sooner.
They haven't had a good quarterback though. Not one to beat the Chiefs.
Truthfully, I knew this was going to happen because Sean Payton mixed with Russ Wilson is a dangerous combo. May not
And
be
they just played the
may
Chiefs
not be
2 weeks
Super
ago.
Bowl dangerous, but it is dangerous enough to threaten us.
But not only did the Chiefs just play the Denver Broncos 2 weeks ago, the Eagles just played the Commanders 2 weeks ago. So that right there, like, they've already been preparing for this game before the 2 weeks ago. Like, they've been preparing this game since day one of the season.
For sure.
So, like, those division games back to back like that have got to be the hardest ones to prepare for.
Yeah, it's brutal. It's wild that they're doing it. To have division games between the same teams so close together is wild.
All right. The 305 game is the Colts versus Panthers. I'm going to say the Panthers get their first win against the Colts.
Nope, Colts are taking it. Colts have got it.
Josh, the Colts. I have the Panthers. Giants at the Raiders. Giants lost today to the Jets by a field goal.
No, a tight one, man. Overtime.
But the Raiders are still, like, very impressive for, like, what they have been able to do. Like, it's
For
actually,
not having a team, for not having a.
I think this could be a really good game, and I'm going to give it to the Raiders. I'm going to give it to the Raiders.
I'm actually with you. I think the Raiders are surprisingly impressive for not really having direction, and they're still threatening enough that I would call them,
All right. The Cowboys versus the Eagles. This is going to be the hardest game of the Cowboys.
This is
Of
going
the
to
Cowboys
be
season.
a good one. All right, are you ready? First thing, I think this one goes to OT. This is that good of a game that goes to overtime.
I mean, I think it's that's the most exciting way to, like, have a game. Like, I don't want it to be a boring one-sided game, but I have a feeling that it's either going to be one-sided or it's going to be back and forth. But I don't think it goes in overtime. I think it's going to be either by 7 to 10 points. But I'm taking Dallas just because I don't bet against Dallas. But the Eagles, I said from the get-go, were going to flop this year. And they have had too many close calls for me not to say that, like, they're still a good team. They're still the team they were last year with Jalen Hurts and everybody that's on that team. They're still high caliber, and I hate this game just because of how good they are. But I'm not going to put my foot in my mouth yet because I still want to see them fail. Is that Mike again?
Yes, it is. And he said, I've never heard you talk about KU football. Like, never. And I said, outside of last year, the last time I would have been junior year in 2005 when we went to the Orange Bowl.
So you got Cowboys over Eagles in the overtime game you're calling.
All right, love me, Bobby, because I think the Cowboys win this by 3 in overtime.
Josh,
I'm going Cowboys this time.
Well, I mean, I'm always going to go Cowboys. I don't think I bet against the Chiefs at all this year or win against the Chiefs at all this year, but you have gone against my Cowboys. Rightfully so. We got blew out by the Niners. We got blew out by the Cardinals. Like, that was a fluke, I think. But the one game that we shouldn't have lost was the Cardinals game, and that's the most upsetting of them all.
Well, and that Cardinals game was so wild, too.
Yeah, wild for the Cardinals, not for the Cowboys. That was the worst game.
Even just the, like, like, they put up so many points on y'all.
Not as many as the 49ers, but
no,
still.
But like, Bobby, it's the Cardinals, and they don't have an offense. Where did they? Was it James Conner before he got injured? Is that what happened?
James Conner ran down our throats.
That's what it is.
It was right after we lost
he got
our
injured. He was
corner.
a beast. So
Dallas Cardinals. I don't think it was as many points as you think it was. Yeah, it was 28-16. Like, the 49ers was 40-plus points to 10.
That's the 49ers. It's expected from them.
Right.
It's not expected from the Cardinals, who have a toddler for a quarterback, and
2 of those touchdowns for the Niners were defensive touchdowns.
Yeah.
For sure. But the Cardinals, they just ran down our throats, so it was wild.
Man.
All right, Bills versus the Bengals for Sunday Night Football.
Bills. Josh Allen over Burrow. All day, every day.
Yeah, I don't think the Bengals are actually on a win streak or anything. I just think they had a good game this week. All right, Monday Night Football, Chargers at Jets.
Chargers.
Chargers.
Give me
I'm
Sherbert.
going to go Chargers also.
I believe in
Bobby.
Justin.
Okay. All right. So the total score of the Monday Night Football game, I'm going to go with the Chargers versus Jets. I'm going to say 49.
42.
42 for Josh. All right, this should be I think that'll be a pretty close game. I mean, the Chargers are not a bad team, but the Jets have proven their worth with the
Jets
offensive
are
weapons that
okay.
they've been
I think Chargers win this by about 8 to 10, somewhere around that range.
I think it'll be a good game for sure. But I mean, I'm loving football. I mean, I hate that it's halfway through the season already. It's very weird.
No, man, that's crazy.
I mean, we're at week 8 now, right? Or this is for week 8. I do believe, right? I think it's week 8.
Should be.
Yeah. Either way, it's been a crazy year. Like, it has not gone anybody's way except for, like, I would say.
Bro, this has been a wild year for football. Not a fan. Not a fan of how many injuries there have been. Not a fan of just how sucky fantasy has gone. Like,
I think they said 3 quarterbacks went out today.
Ugh.
And it's like, it's that season. It's that time of the year. It's cold. It's the fall. It's almost December. And usually those injuries happen either at the very beginning or towards the end of the season. And unfortunately, Aaron Rodgers had the earliest season-ending injury. Do you think he's coming back? Do you think he's going to make it back to play this year?
He's full of it. If he really thinks he can rehab an Achilles before the end of the year, no, he's nuts.
I'm not a doctor. I mean, it'll be impressive. It'll be the most impressive comeback. Now, I just don't see what he would achieve to come back that early because they aren't in like a hunt for the playoffs, and that's the only thing I see not being a benefit for him.
Oh my God!
Like,
Chuck,
I can see it. What?
Chuck is such a. Chuck is so hilarious.
Is he pacifist? Is he a pacifist?
No.
Is it a very
You know how Mike responds to that text message, right?
Yeah.
So then you also know how Chuck responded too, and he absolutely sugarcoated and whitewashed it. I am happy for the Kansas football team. Coach Leopold is a very good leader. One lost football team isn't a bad place to be. We just need to win a few games ahead of us. Chuck, you're hilarious. Oh my God.
Hey, I will say this. Chuck has always been that guy that's never kicked anybody while they were down. So, like, you have to give him credit.
I know he's too good. He's too good. He can't do smack talk because he's too kind-hearted.
I love Chuck.
Too much of an encourager.
Hey, what you been watching, like on the tubes or on Netflix or Disney?
I mean, Heather and I right now are watching Suits. I don't know if you've watched that at all.
I love Suits, bro. I'm waiting for that last season to come out. I love Suits.
There's more? What?
Yeah, there's one last season.
Oh, I didn't know it's still going.
Yeah, they have one last season that they haven't put on Netflix yet. And, like, I don't know if it's not on there because they're still, like, dropping episodes or if it's just not on there because Netflix hasn't gotten the rights to that last season. But then now they have a spinoff coming out, and I think it has to do with the head chick
Pearson,
that was originally in it.
Jessica?
Yeah, Pearson.
Yeah, I saw
think
that.
It has to do with her. But I would like to see them bring back the guy at least. I mean, we know the girl's not going to be in it, and they can't really like change her character out with somebody else because we all know it's Meghan Markle. So I mean, I think they'll probably have her come back as either divorced or dead, one of the two. But that's just me.
See, I'm 5 seasons in, so I don't even know what happens with her character yet. Heather's just told me.
No, I'm just saying we know about Meghan Markle. I'm just saying we know about Meghan Markle getting married to the king or prince or whatever.
Right,
but, But without giving anything away, like that's what I see happening if they bring that couple into this like scenario. Like they have to do something with her, either like leaving him or dying or something. I don't know.
Oh,
but it is a great show. It reminds me of Lincoln Lawyer, but in rather than it just being one lawyer, it's a law firm.
Yeah, it's a whole firm. Yeah.
But I think that's what they were going for was that Harvey, the guy that plays Harvey Specter, like apparently he was in Beverly Hills 90210.
You don't know yourself some Gabriel Mott?
I've never seen him in anything else
Lies. Lies, and I will prove it to you, Bobby. You know Gabriel Macht is an actor because one of his movies is one of our favorite movies, I think.
And he's what?
Do you remember American Outlaws?
American Outlaws?
Yep.
I don't think I've seen it.
Yes, you have. Colin
No, I haven't.
Farrell. Come on.
Is it a Western?
Scooter. Yeah, it's a Western.
Never
It's got
seen it.
Scooter from Varsity Blues. Scott Conn.
Never seen it.
Yeah, Scott
Never seen
Conn. Bobby.
I've
We
never seen
watched
it.
this. Bobby,
I have never seen that movie.
I promise you, I owned this movie in high school and we watched it. I promise you, you've seen this. It's about
I can
Jesse
promise you
James,
that I've never seen
Colin
it.
Farrell. Colin Farrell plays Jesse James. Gabriel Macht plays his older brother Frank. Scott Conn plays James Younger, and so it's Jesse James and the Younger Gang, and so it's the James Younger Gang, and they crack a joke about it. It's like, oh, why isn't it called the Younger James Gang? And he's like, oh, because then people would be like, well, what about the older James Gang? Like, and it's one of those like, Bobby, I know you've seen this movie, dang it.
I can tell you this. I've only seen a handful of like Western style movies, like in my time that I've enjoyed. Tombstone being one of them. Young Guns, The Quick and the Dead. I've never seen the movie you're talking about.
Yes, you have.
Promise.
But
I promise you this.
I will say this. If you don't remember it, you need to go see it. You need to go back and watch it. It was a good one.
I'll take your word for it and I'll check it out. But I've just never seen it. So I just don't know him from anything outside of Suits. And then I also saw like this clip of where they're like, hey, does anybody know where he's from? And then it was like a clip of like either 90210 or something like that. It was like something from the 90s.
Yeah.
The Suits, I really love Suits. It was awesome. Have you checked out the movie with Benicio del Toro and Alicia Silverstone yet?
I have not
On
yet.
Netflix?
I have not yet.
Pretty good.
You told me
Pretty
that. I need to watch it.
I'm actually watching Narcos right now, and I'm on the 3rd season.
Okay.
Pretty good.
Heads up. At least for me, after the 3rd season, I couldn't keep watching it.
Isn't there only 4 seasons?
Yes. But
it's probably going to be a lot like how Peaky Blinders was for me.
in my head, it didn't make any sense to keep going after the 3rd season.
In my head, though, like when I first started watching it, I was thinking, I don't know why, like I was thinking that who's the bad guy in the first 2 seasons? What's his name again?
The
crap.
cartel lord, freaking
Yeah.
Pablo Escobar.
I was putting him and El Chapo as the same person in my mind, and then I was like, wait, this isn't what I heard
the
about.
escape artist.
Yes, and I was like, what do you mean he had his own prison? I was like, I thought he escaped from prisons as like
That's El Chapo, yeah.
his way of. I was like, wait a minute, and then so I Googled it like after the end of the 1st season, and then that's when I was like, oh, okay.
Yep.
And then 2nd season, it was pretty bizarre how he like they don't know if he either committed suicide or if they actually shot him in the head. So that's what I was reading, and then in the show they showed them actually shoot him in the head. Oh,
Yeah.
spoiler alert! But it's a good show so far. I mean, I just started the 3rd season on episode 2. So.
Oh, okay. Well, then maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was after season 2, because if you saw that scene, that's like they lose one of the main characters and him after that season.
The 3rd season has to do with them going after the Cali cartel, which is very
I get that, but who the heck cares?
It's significant because of the cocaine war that they had, like Cocaine Cowboys. Have you seen that docu-series?
No.
Okay, I highly recommend you watch that. Then you'll probably have a little bit more respect for the season 3. Maybe.
I doubt it.
I enjoy it.
They built that thing around Pablo and then take him out of the show.
It's about Narcos.
That show is carried by Pablo. Yeah. But that's my point.
But the chick that they sent off, she plays a big part of it in the late 90s, bro. Like hardcore that you don't know about until the very like in Cocaine Cowboys, they talk about this woman that runs this thing in Colombia, and like that's who they're talking about is her. And like Cocaine Cowboys refers to like how she used to be more vicious than Pablo Escobar. Like
Yeah.
she would line these dudes up that like would go against her like on this road and have two people ride a motorcycle and just chop their heads off. Wild.
That is wild.
Like it gives me respect to like say that like I have not lived a hardcore life and I'm fine with that. Like I couldn't imagine like living in that type of like world, like of drugs and like just the whole like where we grew up was not as bad as like people that grew up in the projects. Like we had it so made. That's what stresses me out. It's like, man, I could have like lived in like the worst parts of like the world, but no, I lived here in Hutchinson, Kansas, and I'm good with it. I haven't seen anything. And I'm cool with it. So I'll watch it on TV. Does that make sense though? Like, do you ever say like, I'm glad I was not around that like as a kid? Like you and I, we never like saw anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, growing up in
Like
the
we also
Midwest,
weren't
you don't
into.
really
Well,
like
like
that
Detroit is in the Midwest, but like people in Detroit have it way harder than we ever would. St. Louis, Missouri, like they have it harder than we ever did. Like it's only 8 hours away, but still, like it's the closest to the like worst part of the world that you can get.